Hey everybody, this is Kennedy Hawk. Today is March 25th, 2021, and today's card of the day is Giant Man. Continuing our amazing Allies week, we're covering Giant Man today from Ant-Man's Hero Pack. And Giant Man is one of my favorite allies in the game. One really cool fact about Giant Man is he is our first, if not the defining first for the game, LGBTQ community ally. So that is really important to spreading diversity of the game and helping people feel like they're represented within the game. So if you haven't read about this amazing character Giant Man, I highly suggest you go read some of his comics and really get to know this really cool character. So what's really cool about Giant Man is that he is amazingly versatile. People always talk about these big drop allies like Goliath and Vision and Iron Man, and they build all these crazy decks around them, but nobody's talking about Giant Man. And just because he costs 5 doesn't mean he's a bad ally. He is an amazing ally that is extremely versatile. So just without any help, you spend the 5+1, so 6 resources on him, and he could get you 6 thwart and a block. Right there, that's probably worth that cost. He could also get you 8 damage, 2 thwart and a block. Wow. He could also get you 8 damage and 4 thwart, or even more when we start looking at combo cards. I think Giant Man is definitely the most overlooked Voltron target. A lot of people like to play these Voltron decks where they put lots of upgrades on an ally, they ready that ally a bunch of times and he does crazy, or he or she does crazy amounts of damage, and then everybody celebrates about how good allies are. Well, Giant Man is probably one of the best targets to Voltron, and we'll talk about why when we look at our combos. So, some key combos with Giant Man. So he gets +2 attack while he is at 3 or more remaining hit points. So if you use a card like Reinforced Suit to give him +2 HP, he's now at 6 hit points. So his first 4 attacks are going to be at +2 attack. So that's 16 damage and 4 thwart. That's like a character or like a hero at that point. That is amazing. Again, things like Honorary Avenger, that's only going to add 1 HP instead of 2, like Reinforced Suit, but they're about the same cost, and you can combine them together. So you could put a Reinforced Suit and 3 Honorary Avengers on Giant Man. And each Honorary Avenger you put onto him, as long as he is at that 3 hit point or higher threshold, is going to be 4 more attack. Even if you're at 2 hit points and you play Honorary Avenger, he's going to go back up to 3 and get that static attack buff, which is really cool. So obviously other cards that increase hit points for allies, like Team Training, very good. If he gets low on health, you could use things like First Aid to heal him and bring him back into that range, and that's really cool. Just going on with some of the Voltroning, so I think Inspired is a really inspired card to use with Giant Man. So if I play Inspired on Giant Man, he is now a 3 thwart, 3 attack character. His first 2 attacks do 5 damage, so he could do 10 damage, 3 thwart, and a block. Or he could just swing for 5, right, and kill all those minions that are above that 4 damage threshold that are really hard to kill. Giant Man can take care of them in one swing. One cool thing with Giant Man is you really want to focus on keeping him above that 3 hit points or 3 plus hit points in that high health regime. Well, there's some cards in Leadership that help you still get value out of your allies while not dealing them consequential damage. So one of those cards is Teamwork, and it's not a very often used card, but with Giant Man, it can be a really powerful card. So let's say we have an Inspired Giant Man on the board, he's got 3 health left. You really don't want to attack with him because you're going to go down to that 2 hit point region with Giant Man and he's going to lose his static buff. Well, if you use Teamwork, you can throw that 5 attack onto your hero and attack with She-Hulk for 8 or attack with Spider-Man for 7. Sounds great to me. That's a awesome card to be able to keep Giant Man's health. Basically, you're getting to activate Giant Man and not deal him damage for the use of 1 card. So it's basically like a heal. Something that a lot of the other Voltrons try to do is they try to like pump Vision or pump Goliath and then attack with him a bunch of times in one turn. You don't have to do that with Giant Man. We have Inspiring Presence instead, right? So that's going to help Giant Man focus on staying above that threshold. So with those other Voltron allies, with Goliath and with Vision, you want to get a ton of readying effects into your hand and then rattle off your combo. With Giant Man, instead, you want to spread that combo out over the long game. So you want to get him to this +2 attack region that he starts in, and you never want to let him fall below that threshold, and he's just going to be a constant source of damage for you. So that's why my favorite readying effect, if you're going to bring one with him, is Inspiring Presence, because it heals that damage before that character is readied. So let's say I attack with Giant Man, I was at 3 hit points, I swing at the villain for 4. I now play Inspiring Presence. I'm at 2 hit points, I heal 1, and then I ready Giant Man. So I'm ready to swing for 4 again instead of swinging for 2 on that second ready, like with Get Ready. So really, really cool. Alright, so some rules goofs with Giant Man. There aren't a ton, because he's a fairly straightforward character, right? Giant Man gets +2 attack while he has 3 or more remaining hit points, so keep him above 3 hit points and you'll have no problems. His ability is a constant effect, so healing can turn it back on, extra hit points can keep it on longer and things like that, and even if you fall below 3 hit points, you can go back up into that regime. You don't lose like the static buff or anything like that. And it's not like a once per turn limit. So like Goliath gives him +4 attack, and then at the end of the round he gets discarded. There are other characters and other abilities that like give a character a single use buff. Well, this is a buff every time Giant Man attacks if he has 3 or more remaining hit points. It's not even like a trigger, right? It's just a constant effect. That's why it works with teamwork. So you're not going to have to worry about, well, I could do this twice in one turn, and that's okay. Or I could do it spread out over multiple turns and be less combo-y, but more like consistent-y, and that still works. So, what do you think about Giant Man? Have you found use for him in your leadership decks? Do you think he's worth that 1 extra point of cost compared to Vision and Goliath because of this, ability to spread your combo out? How do you guys feel about Giant Man?